Alright, we should be live. Back. We're working on Omo. Should be in a better mood today. Yesterday was not great with Arena. Um, so if you haven't encountered this bug yet, Arena has this weird thing where it gets locked into looking for open matches, I think is the thing it gets stuck on. And if you get that message, um, there is a fix for it, but it's not from Wizards directly. It's somebody else figured out where the file was that was messing everything up and how to find it and delete it. Um, and I did need some help because I wasn't 100% sure because it's a very generic file name. It's actually like MTG Arena, but it's in a specific location, and if you delete that one, that is the source of the problem. So we did manage. My brother helped me because he's better with computers than I am. So we did make sure we had the correct one and we deleted it, and Arena is working again for me. But yeah, if you go to Wizards customer support and you look at the messages, once you get through all the vitriol and hatred for how they don't have anything to help anybody with this right now, you will find people reposting the original message that worked for them and multiple people saying that it's been working for them. It's a temp file for Magic Arena and is what's causing the bug. So if you delete specifically that file folder, it will allow Arena to run properly again, but that's the thing that's causing the problem. So I did get Arena working again last night. And Midweek Magic was, I would have to build a deck for it, so I didn't bother. Anytime that I don't have to actually build the deck, even if it's not limited, I don't mind doing it, but... Anyway, we're back, we're working on Omo. Despite my foul mood yesterday, we were able to get through all three Modern Horizons sets and the Modern Horizons Commander decks, Modern Horizons 3 Commander decks, so that brings us to Morning Tide, which is another creature type matters, so we should be able to find some fun things here. Notably, Kinship. Once the creature with Kinship has an everything counter on it, every creature in your deck shares a creature type with it and will trigger it. So, if we find any really good ones, we can do that. We do need them to not care about it being the creature in other zones, so things like Boss Banneret won't work because they won't be creatures when we're trying to cast them. Bramblewood Paragon doesn't work because they're not the creature types when they enter to trigger them in the first place. So, there are a lot of cards that care about creature types that won't work in Morning Tide, but there are a few that will. Do we want Chameleon Colossus at all? This is one of the more powerful changelings. So it already comes with all creature types, so it's also getting all the benefits that our creatures with the counters on them would. And it's actually a pretty decent creature as a 4-mana 4/4 pro black that can jump up to an 8/8 or larger if you have four increments of 4 mana to work with. So I guess it's worth at least considering. So this is Chameleon Colossus. 2 green shapeshifter 4/4 at its base. Yeah, the fact that it is a 4/4 for 4 with protection from black means it's already got a little bit of utility in Commander, in that it can stop large aggressive black creatures on the ground, and then being able to double up to an 8/8 for only 4 mana means it can take down basically any large ground creature short of an Eldrazi. So I think it's alright to consider. It might not make the cut just because it's just a generic big dumb guy, but the fact that it comes with all the creature types to begin with means that we don't have to waste time putting counters on it, and it will get all of the benefits from our other cares about all creature types cards. So do not need the spy. Disperse. Distant Melody is okay. This is the one where we just get to choose the creature type and draw the cards. For some reason, I thought it was only 3 mana, though. So, maybe not then at 4. Door to Destinies. Most of our creatures don't start with the same type, so. Similarly, the Everbark Shaman, they're not all creature types in the graveyard, so that doesn't work. Whenever you cast a druid spell, draw a card. Tap 7 untapped druids you control. Gain control of all lands target player controls. Are we ever going to have 7 creatures in play? Realistically. Like, we don't make a lot of creature tokens. Are we ever actually going to get 7 creatures into play at the same time with the everything counters on them in order to steal all of our opponents, like, all lands target player controls? I think the answer to that is no. I think that is asking too much from this deck. Like, we are way more likely to have, like, I want to say we'll probably have at most 5 creatures realistically before somebody pulls the trigger on a Wrath and we lose all of them. Like, we're not generating huge numbers of creatures to begin with, and we have to take the time to get the counters on each one of them, because we're not running a whole lot of natural druids in the deck. So, yeah, I don't think that one's going to work. The Great Bow Doyen, though, maybe. Gives all of our archers +1/+1, and whenever an archer we control deals damage to a creature, that archer deals that much damage to that creature's controller. So basically, our creatures can't be blocked at that point profitably. Like, they can still kill our creatures in combat, but they will take the damage that our creatures would have dealt anyway. And it's giving a bonus, so maybe. The only thing holding it back is that 5 mana casting cost. Do-yen. Not Do-yen. I was about to put. This is 4 and a green, Elf Archer. And it is naturally a 2/4. Yeah, similarly, Heritage Druid, we might be able to tap 3 of our creatures for 3 green mana. Past that, though, I don't think we can get to the 6 necessary for this thing to produce 6 mana on its own. Like, getting it and 5 other creatures into play and the 5 other creatures have the counters on them is asking an awful lot. Okay, untap Inspired Sprite, and it loots. Marginally interesting on cards like Knowledge Exploitation, where if we can hit with a creature that has an everything counter on it, we get to prowl this out. It's neat. I don't know how good it is in our deck, though. Like, depending on your meta, this could be insanely powerful. One of the best things I've ever done was commandeer a Knowledge Exploitation and find out the opponent that cast Exploitation had Time Stretch in their deck. It took me all 3 turns, because it was going to be my turn next. So it took me all 3 of the turns that I took in a row, but I did win by stealing somebody else's Felidar Sovereign, attacking with it, and then being above 40 life again at the beginning of the 3rd turn. So, Knowledge Exploitation in other people's decks holds a warm place in my heart, but I don't know that we need it. Like, it's only okay. The Leaf Crown Elder, once it gets the everything counter, means that every turn we get to look at the top card of our deck, and if it's a creature, we just get to put it into play. So that one's tempting at only 4 mana. Like, we can very easily go turn 3 Omo, turn 4 play this, and put the counter on it, and then we have this going, and you know I'm running Sensei's Divining Top because it's me, so we'll have more chances to find creatures on top of our deck. We might not need them because we have the things that let us play creatures off the top anyway. but it's certainly something I'm going to consider. Maybe cast an elf spell, deals 2 damage to target creature with flying. No. No. Moth Dust. Nevermaker. Notorious Throng. So, am I at all interested in a 6-mana Time Walk that makes bodies? If I can get through for damage. I don't think so. I think it's fine, but it's not anything super important. Yeah, don't need Reach of Branches. Cross the paths. I don't need recross. Yeah. I already said it, but I was double checking it. And yeah, we don't need it. Search the Deep. Sage of Fables. I'm looking at the Sigil Tracer because it is itself a wizard, so I only need one other card, like one other creature card with an everything counter on it, untapped, in order to copy a spell. It's okay. Like, some spells are really potent to copy, and some spells are pointless. And it's one of those, like, how much of an in-between is there? Whatever creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +0/+5. No. And create a 4/4 elemental creature token. Huh. So, going into Morningtide, I was trying to remember, so, each one of the, like, there are 3 colors that have creatures that care about obscure creature types that are underrepresented in the set. The the black one is the assassin. The green one is the archer that we saw, and the white one is knights. And I could not remember what the blue or red ones were, and there don't really seem to be any. Like, there are a whole bunch of druids in the set, so the Guiltleaf Archdruid doesn't count. But there's only one other assassin in the set, and there's only the one other archer in the set, which was the one that dealt 2 damage to the when an elf came into play, the Lysolana Bowmaster. So, naturally, plus all of the changelings. So, the whole idea was that they were under-supported creature types in the format that they could give cool cards to that would work in the larger thing and would work if you got enough changelings. So, I could not remember what the blue or red ones were, and I don't really count the Supreme Exemplar as a 10/10 flyer that champions an elemental. Like, elementals are very well represented in the set, so even though there's not, I think there's only like 2 or 3 in this one, there's also like 3 or 4 in the other one too, so whereas the other ones only have 1 creature of the other type. So I am kind of surprised that there just isn't one. Oh, they gain flying. I did miss that the Waterspout Weavers was also a kinship card. But yeah, we don't really need that one either. Alright, so that was Morningtide. Brings us to Murders at Karlov Manor. Alright, MKM, what have you got for me? Do not need a Killer Among Us. Math Analyst. Although the fun thing about a Killer Among Us is if I get the everything counter on a token, the token is the right type now, and it doesn't matter, and I can just reveal that one to be the killer the entire time. Which makes sense, because they were also secretly an Assassin Ninja. And any other creature types that would imply they were the murderer. Don't need Aftermath Analysis for any, or Analyst rather, for anything. Agency Outfitter, no. You may collect evidence 8. Search your library for a basic land. Instead, search your library for a creature or a land. That one's a little bit rough to get to the collect evidence 8. I'm not even sure if I could get to the 4 card types for Traverse the Uvenwald, let alone get to 8 mana in the graveyard early enough to make tutoring for a land with this thing that good. It does tutor for a creature also once you get to that point, but I'm more interested in cheap ways to tutor for these specific non-basic lands we need, since tutoring for creatures is kind of easy in green if you have access to everything. There are plenty of green creature tutors that you can be running, but there are fewer cheap land tutors that you can run that will get you any non-basic land you need when you need it. For a creature or land, reveal it, put it onto the battlefield tapped if it's a land. Otherwise, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Yeah, again, triple green. I mean, it's not the worst offer I've had, but I am planning on running enough colorless lands that that's going to be a big ask sometimes to have 3 green on turn 3. The Criminologists, no. Bite down on crime. Smuggler, burden of proof. Solve control 7 or more lands. You may play additional land during each of your turns. You may look at the top card of your library and you may play lands, cast creature spells. Nah, I don't think so. Don't need Ransack Lab. Trampled Garden, no. This one only gets basics, right? Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely run the Shattered Pact if it could get a non-basic for me. It'd just be my third of the map and Sylvan Scrying. Old Case Cracker, Chalk Outline. I think I need the Conspiracy Unraveler for anything. Coveted Falcon. Stopper Sprite. I don't need the Cryptex, Cryptic Coat, Culvert Ambusher. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, investigate. Nope. Deuce. Doppelgang. We do generate huge amounts of colorless mana. Would I actually be interested in Doppelgang? I might actually. Like, even if we have a lot of like large legendary creatures in the version of the deck that's going to have access to all this mana, our opponents might not. Also, we can copy all of our permanents, including oops, we need to get to Murders at Karlov Manor, including things like the Cloud Post. So that way we have a second Cloud Post that's generating all of this mana. So that way I can cast multiple Eldrazi Titans in a single turn. And I like that idea. And it does enough other stuff that's powerful enough that I think we can consider it. if we're ramping into all of this mana anyway. It's both a way to get even more obscene mana and a payoff for having the obscene mana, so I think we want it. Don't need these. Collect evidence, investigate. No. Specialist, Fey Flight. Can't run Flotsam and Jetsam. No to the Flourishing Bloomkin. Activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. Untap another target permanent you control. Tap collect evidence 3. The untap a permanent I control is a little bit tempting. I think we can do slightly better with the stats, though, and Merfolk Detective is not helping us with any of the random creature types to begin with, so I think, like, I might just be better off with, like, the Gnome Illusionist or something for untapping Cloud Post to generate more mana. Or Urza's Tower, or any of the other things that can generate more than 1 mana by themselves. Cloud Post is probably the best one once we get going, but Urza's Tower is also very high up there for the 3 mana that it makes. Yeah, probably need the Hedge Maze. Actual, like, basic land type dual lands are so much harder to come by in the enemy colors. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Oh, that's the one that makes the Thopter afterwards. Yep. Don't think we need that. Flying Vigilance attacks destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you controlled that permanent, draw a card. He's alright. And he has the... I forget what his actual thing for making clue tokens is, but... if you would draw a card while your library has no cards, skip that draw step as long as there are no cards in your library. Its base power and toughness 10/10 is flying and vigilance. Nope. I do not need the laundry elemental. Mistway Spy. No. Gets a basic, right? Yeah. Like, I'm expecting all of them to get basics, but I'm double checking to make sure because I only ever played it in limited, so it's not like I had a ton of non-basics to go fetch with it at any point in time. About. Pick your poisonous target opponent, right? Oh no, it is each opponent. Huh. That one might be slightly more relevant than I thought. Still probably not going to bother with it over targeted removal, but the fact that it can hit each opponent means that at least one of the opponents probably doesn't have a pile of clue tokens to protect their cool artifact or something similar, like similar setups with creatures with flying or enchantments where we're actually likely to get something relevant. Don't think we need eidetic memory. Projector Inspector now. Reasonable doubt. Exile target non-land card in the graveyard that was put there from anywhere this turn. Copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Impulsive Mutation. Double Belt Maverick. Sample Collector. Scene of Crime. Slime Against Humanity. No. No. Oh, that's what it is. You get to investigate and play an extra land. Where X is the total toughness of creatures you control, has Defender. Till end of turn, target creature gets +1 power gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw cards equal to its toughness, and can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Making it a 3/15. They went this way. Of course, a basic land also. Basic land cycling on the Stomper. Not the Stomper, the Panther. Topiary Stomper, is that the dinosaur one then? Is that what I'm thinking of? I saw Topiary, my brain auto-corrected to Stomper. Come on, Gather, you can do it. There you go, you made it. Authorized exit, Crocodile, Mortuary. Return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Beginning of combat, on your turn, choose one, cloak a card, or put a 1/1 counter on each colorless creature. No. Not for this deck anyway. Don't need that. Okay. That was Murders. So next up is Murders at Karlov Manor Commander. Gather's not having a good time right now, it feels like. Going way slower than normal. Do I need to switch to Scryfall Gatherer? Are you doing that badly? Shifting Visage. Beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. To solve, there are 15 or more cards in your graveyard. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell, copy that spell. No. Cast a colorless spell, manifest the top card of your library. That's a reprint. As is Alondra and Amphin Mutineer. Okay. Either there are not that many unique cards from this set in blue and green, or we can add Murders of Karlov Manor to the list of ones that Gatherer cannot organize properly. I don't remember this one being one of the problem ones, but I might have just forgotten it because we've only had to go through it like 3 times at most. Alright, whenever you surveil, you may pay blue and 1. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Copy Catchers. Ascend, as long as you have the city's blessing, detectives you control can't be blocked. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, make a detective. Flash flying during opponent's end step. You may cast spells as though they had flash. Bravestorm Investigate. Beginning of each combat, other clues you control become 6/6 plant creature tokens. In addition to their other types, sacrifice Tangle Grove Kelp, draw a card. Flying Ward 3. Whenever you remove a time counter from Watcher of Hours while it's exiled, surveil 1. And it has Suspend 6 for blue and 1. Where another creature you control is turned face up, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature, or 1/1 counters on that creature equal to its power. Whenever a Noxious Researcher attacks, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, investigate. Then each player draws a card. At the beginning of your end step, you may untap all lands you control. If you do, you can't cast spells until your next turn. You may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Or another creature is turned face up, create a 0/0 green ooze. Yeah, don't need the projector. Cloak the top card of your library, go target creature, draw a card. And then these are all the reprints. Okay. Alright, so that was Murders. After Murders comes Nemesis. Whenever a player casts a creature spell, that player sacrifices a permanent unless they pay 1. No. Air Bladder, Animate Land, Armor. Choose a creature type. 3 tap, you may put a creature card of the chosen type from your hand onto the battlefield. No, not even with the Eldrazi Titans. Like I said, we're only gonna have, like, at most, the 8 of them that we're allowed to out of the 9, plus, like, 2 or 3 others that we have. So, maybe, like, 5 others maximum. Something like that, but we're more likely to run things like Cityscape Leveler as an additional substitute for the Titan than, random Eldrazi that have, like, Annihilator 2 or something. Some other upside. No. Don't need days. Yawgmoth. Armor or the Copter. No. Yeah, I don't think I need overlaid terrain for anything. Pale Moon, Pack Hunt, Parallax Tide, Rackling, Refreshing Rain, Reverent Silence, Rokes. Gains flying, deals combat damage, pay 2 and exile a card from their deck of my choice. Sapperling Burst, Cluster, Sea Hunter. These 2 forest cards. Poacher. Bounces back to my hand. No. The Spell Shapers. Submerge. Rain Generator has to be a basic. Iceling. Wood Ripper. Nope. Okay. Nemesis. From Nemesis, we go to New Phyrexia. Don't need Alloy Mirror. No. Aether, I don't think so. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Batterskull. Beast Within we will consider, because it hits just about everything. In fact, I think it does hit everything. Any permanent. So, New Phyrexia. You want a Beast Within. I don't think we need Birthing Pod? Question mark. The problem is that I don't think we're gonna have like the 7 and 8 drops necessary to chain into any of the Eldrazi Titans and their cast triggers. So, even if we're getting rid of one of them to tutor one of the other ones up, it's got to be because we need the Giant Annihilator number, not because we need a different, bigger body in play. I guess maybe we would also tag out for the earlier Ulamogs and all of the Emrakul's various protection-based abilities, since that would actually stop our opponents from being able to kill them easily. But yeah, I don't think that's worth it. Don't really need Brutalizer Exarch. Cage Sun, no. You may cast our instant sorcery spell from an opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost. The other thing has Vigilance and Reach. Yeah, they're both, like, okay at best. Like, the Chancellor has the better enter the battlefield, the Blue Chancellor has the better enter the battlefield. The Green Chancellor has the better if it's in your opening hand ability, but neither of them are anything I think we need or would even seriously want. I don't need Gitaxian Probe. That can't run Hex Parasite, Howler Strike, Insatiable Soul Eater. Don't need Isolation Cell. Don't actually need Jin-Gitaxias. Although he doesn't give me the no maximum hand size, so it's not like I couldn't discard original Ulamog or Kozilek to keep shuffling the cards back in so I don't deck out. As long as I don't take pains to give myself no maximum hand size. With all the ramping we're doing, we will almost definitely consider Karn liberated. Karn's just way too good. Okay, is 7 for a Planeswalker. He starts on 7 loyalty, 6 loyalty, 6 loyalty. Okay. Don't need Kilnwalker, can't run Lash Writhe, nor would we want to since it's based on swamps. Leeching Bite, Maul Splicer. Golem creatures you control have Trample. Yeah, I don't think I need a 7-drop that's doing that. Mind Crank, Mind Culling, Eugenic Growth, Mycosynth Fiend. No. Superion. Ingester. Metamorph is fine and is always worth considering because there's usually something worth copying between creatures and artifacts. I don't know that we'll actually need it though. Yeah, Metamorph is one of those cards I run more because you can usually find something worth copying. It doesn't necessarily have to be your own thing. And between creatures and artifacts, there's so many good targets. For lack of a better word, since it doesn't target. Just becomes a copy as it enters. Don't think we need Spellskite, Spire Monitor, Tezzereth's Gambit, Torpor Orb. How many of our things are actually comes into play abilities? I have to double check that, because if enough of them are like cast triggers and whatnot, then we could jam a Torpor Orb in here. Always down for a Torpor Orb when it fits. 4 mana 1/1 makes a golem, and I can pay 1 to regenerate a golem. That is not the worst because they're, aside from, Farewell and Original Wrath and Damnation, there aren't a whole lot of Wraths that actually ignore regeneration nowadays. So ones like Supreme Verdict and whatnot, and Austere Command wouldn't get around regeneration. I do need to have the mana available at the time that they do it, but that might not be the worst thing. There's also Vorinclex to make my lands tap for even more mana. He only adds 1, regardless of how much they tap for, though. Like, I might actually be better off with the Nyx Bloom Ancient. I don't think I actually need the Splicers. It's a tiny bit tempting, since it's fun, but I think we can do better with our Creature Lords. I know, we were on new Phyrexia, not Phyrexia All Will Be One. Alright, to Oath of the Gatewatch, where Kozilek lives. See if he has any crazy Eldrazi for me. Probably not. Don't need Blinding Drone. Mortality, no. No. Don't need Crush of Tentacles. Cultivator Drone, no. You may put 3/1 counters on target land. It becomes a 0/0 elemental. No. Beginning of combat on your turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may have creatures you control other than Devourer forms become copies of that card until end of turn. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. No, too many of the good hits are legendary, so. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. And whenever you deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. It's okay. Obviously, I think we'd rather have the oh god, what's the one snake from? It's from a commander set, but it's based on the one. It's like Orin Frostfang, I think it's called, where all of your creatures have Death Touch, and when they deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Like, I think we'd rather have that over the Skulker. Infiltrator, Mimic, Embodiment of Insight. There's the Endbringer if we want it. Taps to deal 1 damage to any target. Can attack or block this turn, and 2 colorless tap, draw a card. That might be worth it. We could give it haste consistently. Alright, so this is Oath. This is the Endbringer. Is 5C Eldrazi 5/5. Cavalry, Gravity Negator, Royal. Enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature, put 2/1/1 counters on it. No. Alignment, Crawler, Missing Quagmire. Alright, do we actually want Kozilek? So when I cast him, if I have less than 7 cards, I get to draw until I have 7. That's his cast trigger. It's a 12/12 with Menace, and I can discard cards to counter spells with the same CMC. I suppose we're going to consider him. Like, I can see cutting him, but he's also fine. Kozilek, the Great Distortion. It's 8 CC. Bernel Drazi. 12. Don't need Pathfinder. Lead by example. Loam Larva. Don't need the Reshaper. Really need Mirror Pool. Like, there's a tiny bit of temptation for the Mirror Pool because we're going to be running Crucible of Worlds anyway. I don't need any oaths. Prophet of Distortion. Can probably do better than 4 mana draw a card on our 1 mana 1/2. Reality Smasher is a lot less amazing in like a 3 or 4 player game where your opponents have twice as much life as normal. Like a 5 mana 5/5 haste trample is kind of whatever. Search your library for a basic land card and reveal it. You may put that card on the battlefield tapped if you control land named Waste. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. We're not running actual Waste, so can't really use that as a ramp card. Of Oran Reef. Yeah, they don't need a 1/1 counter. They're doing good on their own, thanks. Scion Summoner. Don't need the Seed Guardian. Slip through space. Portion. So the final word, no. Don't need any of these. Alright, do we want Thought-Knot Seer at all? So it's a 4 mana 4/4. Target opponent reveals their hand, choose a non-land card from it, and exile that card. Leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. So we are allowed to choose a different opponent than the one we took the card from, so we can give it to the opponent that's least likely to suddenly win the game if they drew an extra card. I have to believe if I'm breaking this deck out, though, we're going to have most of our opponents should be playing something that scares me so much that I need to play the deck that has the giant doomsday weapons in it. That's just going to roll over and crush everybody if it ramps hard enough. So I don't think Thought-Knot Seer is at its best there because we're more likely to be giving a card to a dangerous opponent when it leaves the battlefield. It is an ETB, though, to take the card, though, so it's not like the opponents are going to get to keep blinking it to draw cards or something, but... I don't need Void Grafter or Vile Redeemer. Void Shatter. Warden of Geometries, no. Warping Whale. We're in blue, so the ability to counter a sorcery is far less impressive than it otherwise would be. I do think I'm down for World Breaker, though. That is the other giant Eldrazi I was thinking of the other day. So when we cast it, we exile target artifact, enchantment, or land, and it's a 5/7 with reach, and we can bring it back by paying 2 and a colorless. So, and feeding it a land, which should not be that much of a problem to get it back and recast it. So, at least not the first time. Alright, so World... I think it's all one word. World Breaker? Oh no, it is 2 words. And it's 6 and a green for a 5/7. 6 and a green for a 5/7. Eldrazi 5/7. Whenever I tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced, and whenever I cast a creature spell, draw a card. Probably not. I'm probably good without that. Oath of the Gatewatch. It's a little bit tempting, though. So after Oath comes Odyssey. Then Onslaught was the creature. So Odyssey has a lot of weird creature types in it, and Onslaught then had the creature types matter that are the normal ones. I think we're only going to get through Odyssey. We're probably going to start with Onslaught next time, which will be fine. We get to grab our fetches. Tap and untap. Oh, right, they're octopuses now. Tap an untapped octopus you control. Tap target permanent. 3 blue, tap all creatures without flying. He's a 6-drop 3/3. I don't think we need Abyshin. Okay, these so far. Deals combat damage to a player. That player reveals 2 cards from their library. You choose one of those cards and put it into their graveyard. Ooh, don't need Bamboozle. Battle of Wits. Go to Bear Escape, Beast Attack, Call of the Herd. Target player draws 2, then discards 2. Target player draws a card and discards a card. Top target creature without flying. Sack a land, draw a card. No. No. Ognivore. Crashing Centaur. Exchange. Materialize. Divert. No. Druid's Call, Extract, Fervent Denial. No, don't need Holistic Wisdom. Howling Gale. Ink. No. No. I don't need the Avenger. Crowsome Beast. Creativity. Perfect Worm. Mirari. Okay, these Nantuko so far. X's that creature's power. Nope. Shrine, New Frontiers. Patchwork Gnomes, Patron Wizard. Tap an untapped wizard I control, counter a spell unless its controller pays 1. Yeah, I'm still only gonna have, like, what, 4 wizards at most? I've already been over this, so trying to use them to punish our opponents is not likely to happen unless they're casting very expensive spells. And even then, it's an onboard trick, so they'll know they shouldn't cast their big spell until they can get rid of my wizard. No. No. The Rights, Roar the Worm, Scrivener, no. Have an untapped Druid add a green. Again, the triple green is kind of brutal. Like, we already have Seshiro's Daughter, I think it is, that's giving us the ability to tap our guys for green mana while they have the counters on them, so. Yeah, don't need Shifty Doppelganger. I was considering it briefly for the Annihilator triggers, but. And then the creature that, like, our Eldrazi would go to the graveyard and get shuffled back in, but I still don't think that's worth it. Certainly not worth the card is the biggest issue. Only have room for 99 cards. I kind of need all of them to be good. There we go. We'll just run Time Stretch since we're generating a billion mana anyway. I'm sure nobody will commandeer it, and we will just win the game when we cast it. I'm always worried about cards like this because between having to resolve for you to win the game and the number of decks that I play with and against that have ways of stealing or gaining control of or copying spells, it just feels like Time Stretch is such a dangerous card. Also, it is targeted, so it can be redirected, which is another thing. Twigwalker, Upheaval, Wild Mongrel, and Zoologist. Alright, so I think that's going to be it for right now. Yeah, we're at like 55 minutes, so Yeah, we'll start up on Onslaught next time, and we'll be able to do all the fun creature type matters with that set. But that's gonna do it for me for right now. I'll be back on later doing some drafts, and depending on how those go, we'll switch over to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth after that. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.